This is a video about classical things, like the music they play on WKAR, and photography studios, and my daughter Savannah. She's classic. I'm going to use my wind-up light. Watch. Okay. Ready? Oops. Here, see? The handle? There. The handle. Crank it up. Come on, crank it up. There we go. Oh, it's light. Okay. Now, what does Tyra always say? She says for her models to find the light. So I'm going to shine the light on these pictures. Now, this is when Savannah was 1 year old. And this picture was done by Miller Photographer Studio. And 2 of Savannah's relatives painted her portrait from this. That's how inspiring this particular picture was. And indeed it is. And look at my baby's face. She's so sweet. What a sweet little baby. Oh. My WKAR light is still shining. Now this was done by Edwards Studio when Savannah was 3 years old. And this is Miss Molly Domino, a Boston Terrier. That's Suki barking. We're going to ignore Suki. And this is my Savannah when she was 3 years old. Look at how beautiful she is. Molly was a very interesting dog. One day she was sitting in my lap as we were driving down the street. My window was down. And the next thing I know, I was watching Molly run the opposite way behind the car. She jumped out the window and started running the opposite way. And then another time, the dog groomers called me, who was about a half a mile away, and told me that Molly, who I used to take in for grooming, had showed up there. Apparently she thought it was time for her grooming. But she was a good friend for Savannah until she ran away when Savannah was 6 years old. There's my baby. Now this is a portrait I just picked up from Okemos Studios. I highly recommend Okemos Studios. They did Ian's senior portraits. This was what Savannah wanted for her, I can't believe it, 15th birthday. She wanted a professional portrait. And look at how beautiful she is. I can't believe it. 15 years old. And her bracelet says love, which is something we can all do and need. I like how she managed to look modern and yet primitive at the same time. That's my video on classic and classy